Welcome to Here Come the Irish. I'm Michael Owens. On this episode, we'll be talking to former Notre Dame basketball player Steve Vasturia, one of my favorite Notre Dame basketball players of all time. Notre Dame was on a bye week this week. They'll likely move up to number 3 in the polls, though, after Purdue had a big win against Ohio State. So, big win for Purdue right there. Glad they can help the Irish move up. And before I call Steve here in just a second, I'm going to give you a little bit of intro about his playing career at Notre Dame. If you guys don't already know, he played at Notre Dame from the 2013 to 2017 seasons. He played for 137 games for the Irish, and he started 122 of those. I mean, that's a lot of action. That's a lot of postseason play to get those numbers. Was captain for the 2016 to 2017 season. Scored over 1,400 points for the Irish. 37% three-point shooter, impressive. 190 three-point field goals made. A free throw percentage of 85.3%. That is just crazy. Nothing shows how good Notre Dame basketball is and how they like to play better than 85% free throw shooter. That's just a really impressive consistency. 331 assists, 128 steals. He was always Mike Bray's go-to defender throughout his time at Notre Dame. And he was part of the ACC championship team, as well as 2 Elite Eights. That's probably his most impressive stats on the resume right there. And without further ado, I'm going to give him a call. See if I can get the brightness adjusted here. Okay. You guys are just joining us, giving Steve Vasturia, former Notre Dame basketball player, a call. Here we go.
Hello.
Hey, Steve, this is Mike Loans with Here Come the Irish. How's it going?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
And not too bad. Notre Dame's going to move up in the polls for football. Ohio State lost last night, so not too bad. How are things out there in Europe? Oh, think we lost him there for a second. Let me see. Let's try that again. Let's try to call him. Steve is 6 hours ahead of us over in Europe, so let's try him again.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, Steve? Sorry we lost you there for a second.
Hey, yeah, sorry about that.
Hey, no problem. I know you're 6 hours ahead of us, so hopefully we have a good connection all the way out there in Europe. How are things going for you?
Things are going great. Yeah, I hope it connects.
Sorry, you're breaking up. If you can hear me, how's your professional career going there in Europe? How's things going there?
Things are great. So I'm here in Spain, in a town called Palencia.
Okay.
And, we're just getting our season going. We're actually 4-0 right now, but yeah, things are good. Excited to kind of get the season going after being here for kind of a long preseason. But things are good here so far.
Oh, great! What's the translation like with the Spanish? Are you did you know any Spanish coming into it?
Yeah, I didn't know a ton. I took it a little bit in high school, but it's definitely been different. I'm in kind of a smaller town where there's not much English being spoken, so it's I've had to adjust a little bit to that and trying to learn on the fly. But it's been cool to try to learn, and you kind of have to immerse yourself, right into the culture, and it's a good experience, and hopefully I can, just learn a little bit, as the year goes on, and you kind of have to because a lot of my teammates only speak Spanish. The coach speaks a lot of Spanish, so it's definitely an adjustment, but it's a cool learning experience too.
Yeah, but a cool one to have, though. I mean, you're young, right out of college not too long ago, getting to go hang out in Europe and play basketball, man. There's not too many more things better than that.
Yeah, you said it. It's definitely trying to enjoy it and, soak in everything that I can while I'm here.
Okay, well, I know I sent you a lot of the questions we have. I'm going to just dive right into it. First question I sent you, why did you decide to go to Notre Dame?
Yeah, I think, looking back, it was, a pretty easy decision and the best decision that I could have made. But, when I was in high school and getting recruited by some different colleges, I took, an unofficial visit out to South Bend, and I was pretty much sold right away. I think everybody knows, the tradition, the academic tradition, the football tradition. But, just when I was there, it's kind of cliche, but I really did feel like it was just a perfect fit for me. I had an awesome relationship with Coach Bray and the coaching staff there. Coach Inglesby, who's at Delaware now, he recruited me, and I had a really good relationship with him. And, one of the big things when I was deciding over schools was, academics, but also, how I would fit into, the style of play there. And I think, what Coach Bray has done, with the way they play offensively and, the way I played, I knew it would be a really good fit. And, I think it ended up pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of transitioning to that. What is it like to play for Mike Bray? He seems like one of the loosest coaches in America. I saw him after Notre Dame won in Maui last year with his shirt off and one of those lays on his around his neck, just going nuts. And I've seen him playing the drums too at various occasions. So what's it like playing for Coach Bray?
Yeah, it's great. I think some of the things you just said, kind of what the people perceive of him in the public is it's really what you're going to get. He's a guy that's going to let you play on the court, and he recruits the kind of guys that he knows are going to fit into a system and buy in. So just playing for him was really a pleasure because you build a relationship with him. From when I started getting recruited by him to even now, we would talk constantly, talk daily, and he has so much trust in his players. I think that's one of his best qualities. When you watch all college sports today, I think a lot of coaches have such a short leash on guys, or they don't. They don't have that full trust. I think what Coach Bray does is he gives. He instills confidence in his guys. I know he did that for me. He gives you the confidence to perform in big situations. I enjoyed every second playing for him, on and off the court. And, I think, kind of what you guys see is not even basketball-wise. He's just, a really good person. We have a great relationship today. We still talk pretty often. So it was, I know I'm lucky to play for one of the best guys, and probably one of the best coaches in the country too.
Yeah, absolutely. In an era with all the one and dones, I love watching you guys play basketball. It seems like about every year there's two seniors on the team that are really good. Almost every year it seems like Notre Dame has like two senior captains that they always go to and stuff. Talk a little bit more about that system. You're talking about the style of play. I know here recently you guys seem like you guys start shooting a ton of threes. I mean, always been Mike Bray's style, but I noticed you would when the game was on the line, you get the ball at the top of the key. You just let it fly, even if it's an NBA three. You had that right on at the top of the key. You guys weren't afraid to shoot at all.
Yeah, exactly. And I think kind of like what I said before about the trust. Guys aren't in there, and they're not playing timid or they're not playing scared, and that's something that he instills in us. And the way that we practice is we do a lot of game situations. We play a lot of 5-on-5. So we're in those situations in practice where we take big shots and guys aren't afraid to step up. But I think the style of play, since I was there, and I think all basketball, college and NBA and even Europe is kind of really transitioning just to you have everybody on the court is skilled, everybody on the court can stretch the floor, and I think that's something that Coach Bray has always done. He's gotten big guys who can handle the ball and step out a little bit. And it's really it's a super fun way to play the game. You're not looking over your shoulder. You're getting up and down the court, and obviously, the Irish have had a ton of success, and I think Coach continues to get guys that can shoot it, that can handle it. They're going to keep winning and having great seasons.
Yeah, absolutely. This might be out of the box comparison, but you guys reminded me a lot of kind of the Warriors. Like they were kind of coming around, like right when you guys were in the 2015 ACC championship. You guys that kind of style of play of it's not always who has the 5-star big guys down low, but it's you can beat teams shooting threes. If you hit
Yeah.
a dozen 3-pointers, it doesn't matter if Okafor or whoever Duke Scott keeps dunking. If you guys are hitting threes, they can't make up for it with their dunks. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I definitely could see that. And I think when you watch, you're watching the Warriors, you could step out of the room for 5 minutes, come back in, and, the game has swung by 15 points because they hit a bunch of threes in a row and in the blink of an eye. And I think, yeah, we were able to do that a little bit. And when you have multiple guys who can hit shots, and especially from three-point land, I think that's what makes teams like, obviously, the Warriors, but Coach Bray's teams get difficult to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know I've been harping on the threes, but it's been a lot more than that too. Just I know there'd be points where one of you guys had an open shot maybe, or some guys in your face. You guys would make 3 or 4 passes to find the guy who has an even better shot, and that's just good basketball right there. College basketball, I love watching. Next question I have for you is the Duke rivalry. I believe at your time there, you were 5-3 against Duke. Like, what is it that got you guys up and played so well against the Blue Devils?
Yeah, I think. I think you're right. I think we were 5-3, and once we moved over to the ACC, I think everybody, once you're playing the Dukes and Carolinas, but everyone kind of gets up for that game maybe a little more, even if it's subconsciously. But I think in terms of our success against Duke is, they had some really good teams. Obviously, Coach K is one of the best of all time, but I think we were, very talented as well. But they always created great matchups. I think, we talked about the way, we played offensively. We had really similar styles to Duke, especially in their last couple of years where they had everybody can shoot the three. They're playing like 4 guards at a time. So I think we matched up really well with them. And also we had guys who really, relished playing in those big games. And they were fun, looking back at games we had against Duke, whether it was home, away, or, conference tournament. The games were fun. They meant a lot. And they were usually close games. I know, and those are the kind of games you want to play in, when you play in the ACC. So just having guys that could, weren't afraid to take big shots and, really relish playing in those big opportunities and against, a big-time program like Duke. It was really a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I know when Notre Dame joined the ACC, it was like, oh my gosh, we're going to have to play Duke and North Carolina and stuff every year. And even that first year was a little rough. I think we actually did beat Duke. You guys did beat Duke your very first year in the ACC. But just going to throughout your time there, going to Cameron Indoor and going to the Dean Smith Dome there in North Carolina and winning on the road. I mean, when Notre Dame joined the ACC, I was definitely not expecting to have that much success against the Blue Bloods in college basketball. And I mean, some people have even forgot about it. It's like kind of Notre Dame kind of basketball kind of gets overlooked sometimes. But some of the great wins, I just would go back and look at some of the great wins you guys have had in the last 5 or 6 years against all these blue blood programs. It's just really impressive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's, like you said, that first year we were in the ACC, we took some bumps and kind of had to learn a little bit what the conference was about. And but yeah, I think our first program ACC win was against Duke. So I know that was a tough year, but it was, at least we got off to a good start with the win against them.
Okay, next question I got for you heading into 2014 and 15 season. What was the kind of vibe in the locker room or the summer before this season? Because obviously, as a Notre Dame fan, I didn't know that you guys were going to go to the Elite Eight and battle head-to-head with Kentucky. Were you guys confident before the season start, with Pat and you and Jerry and Grant, some of the other guys, knowing that you guys had the opportunity to do something special in this season?
Yeah, I think we knew inside of the locker room, and we knew we had a ton of talent. Obviously, we were coming off a year where we really struggled. My freshman year, we under 500 in the ACC. So I think we had a ton of confidence in ourselves, but we also kind of came from kind of off the radar. And I think Coach Bray would talk about that sometimes when, people don't expect you to do great and to have a really good team. But we had, like you said, a ton of talent when you look at, Jaron and Pat are both playing in the NBA, and Zach August and Demetrius and DJ, a ton of guys who were extremely talented, and we had a really good, really good culture, and we really got along well both on and off the court. So we thought that we had a pretty special group, and I think it showed that year. And what a fun team to be a part of. I think it was just a really great year playing with those guys. I remember Jaron had an unbelievable season, and the one thing about that team, it was a ton of fun, but it was easy to play with. Nobody really cared about who scored. We just wanted to win, and we were able to win a lot of games. Obviously we came up a little short at the end, but definitely a heck of a year. And I think when the season started, we had aspirations to win an ACC championship and make a Final Four, and we came really close to Final Four, and winning an ACC championship is something special.
Yeah, absolutely. I had Cam McDaniel on here last week. I'm not if you know who he is on the football team, running back. I don't know if you ever hung out with him, but he was just talking about what it was like to be an underdog and play as a team. How inspirational that can be. And like you said, going into that season, definitely under the radar. I bet if I went back and found one of those booklets that has ACC predictions, you guys would have probably been down at the bottom of the list. But just having something to prove and being the underdog and playing as a team it's so much fun to watch. Okay, I got some questions.
Absolutely.
Some kind of some of the big games from the 2014-15 season. The big game that stuck out to me early in the year when I kind of knew you guys were going to be really good was the Michigan State game at home, the Big Ten ACC Challenge. If you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was Michigan State, big time program, and I think it was national TV ESPN game, and Michigan State, Tom Izzo, and I remember we had a really great crowd for that game, and like you said, I think that was up to that point. We were playing well. I'm not sure we were ranked or anything at that point, but to win a game like that in December before conference play starts was really big for our confidence. Going into the ACC, you're just going to be a juggernaut, and you're going to play the Carolinas, the Dukes, the Virginias, like you said. So to beat a team caliber of Michigan State, really gives the team a lot of confidence. And I think, at that point, we kind of thought to ourselves, we knew we could be pretty good, and we finally put it together against a good team where it could kind of build off of it. So that was really big to kind of get the season going, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the next big game that I have written down here was when you played another Big Ten team. At the Crossroads Classic, you guys beat Purdue by 31 points. I was at that game. It was awesome. Purdue is one of my least favorite schools, so I was definitely cheering a little extra louder around some Purdue fans. So talk to me about the Crossroads Classic that year and just that event in general and beating Purdue, a decent Purdue team, by 31 points.
Definitely. Yeah, one of the cooler events I think that we're a part of is the Crossroads. Getting those four teams, into the same venue. And I think it's a great day, for the fans to be able to go and, watch two great games back to back. But yeah, I think the Purdue game that season might have been the best game we played all season long. We played great offensively, and defensively we were really good because, like you said, Purdue was, great team. But the only thing that really sticks out to me from that game was Demetrius had that dunk over.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that was unbelievable. I still remember that, and we obviously won big, but that's something that I'll always remember from that game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even the IU and Butler fans were going nuts when Demetrius dunked on Isaac Haas. I don't even know how he did that. That was awesome. The place went nuts.
Yeah,
I think even some Purdue fans had to switch seats. I was yelling so loud for you guys every time you score. I think I got a little too obnoxious, but hey, it was a fun night. I enjoyed it.
I love it.
The next big game I have for the year was I think you guys were both in the top 10 when you guys played Duke at home, and the end of the game came down to your 3-point shot in the corner where you buried it. That was a huge shot, probably one of the biggest shots of your career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a huge game for us. Obviously, like we talked about before, playing Duke. I think I want to say it was like a big Monday game, but and we were both coming in top 10, like you said, and it was an awesome game. I'm pretty sure Jaren had close to a triple double, and he played awesome. And that shot in the corner that I hit was a big confidence booster, and probably one of the biggest shots I've taken, especially as a sophomore. I remember I kind of struggled throughout most of the game, and didn't have my best game, but Jaren, like I kind of talked about before, and the way that team played about being so unselfish, and Coach Bray having confidence in guys, and us having confidence in each other. Jaren, best guy on the team, he kind of gets double teamed, and he gives the ball up, and I was just pretty excited it went in, obviously, but I think that was a really good example of the way the team played, and how everybody kind of had a role in winning games.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was the same game that Jaren got that shot from almost like half court. He hit that from I think Jack Nolan said from Mishawaka or something like that. Like you said, the theme throughout the whole year, and I could even see it watching your guys' games. It seems like even though you guys might have missed shots early in the game, you guys just kept shooting, and you guys would start hitting them eventually. No matter what game it was, you guys would always get rolling at some point. And it seems like whether you were 0 for 10 or 10 for 10 shooting threes, you guys would be fearless and shoot that next shot with just as much confidence.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what made us a pretty good team that year. It was we obviously took a lot of threes, but I don't think that's everything about that team. We could score in other ways. We had Zach down low, who was great. I forget about even Bonzi. He was a freshman at that point. And we just had I think a pretty tough group where we were in a lot of close games, and games where they looked like they might not be going our way in the beginning, but finding a way to win was a great trait to that team.
Yeah, absolutely, and you guys definitely did that. I think 32-5 is the final record, I believe. Transitioning to some the postseason for you guys, probably one of the biggest moments of Notre Dame basketball history, actually, was when you guys went to the ACC championship, got past Duke, and then played North Carolina and won the ACC championship. What was that like winning? I think it was all the way down in Greensboro, Greensburg, or something like that, North Carolina, so in their backyard.
Yeah, that was incredible week. It was in Greensboro, and when I talked to my old teammates about this, and just looking back, I think it was pretty cool because we're playing in the championship game, and you look up in the stands, and it's 20,000 people wearing Carolina blue, and we got our bench and just some family and friends right behind the bench wearing some green and Notre Dame colors. So to be able to go into winning the ACC obviously was incredible, but to win it going through Duke and Carolina, on Tobacco Road, and that kind of environment, it's such a fun game. And the way we did it coming from behind, we went on one of those runs that I feel like we had a bunch that season. Was such a fun way to win, and definitely one of if not my favorite moments. Playing for the Irish.
Yeah, absolutely. I still have that ACC championship T-shirt. I'm definitely proud to wear that as a Notre Dame basketball fan around. But yeah, like you said, it was basically like having to win the ACC championship game on the road, 2 games, Duke and North Carolina. It wasn't even like a neutral site at all. That's just that much more impressive that you guys won the ACC championship basically on the road.
Yeah, but really really cool environment there. My last 2 years we. They had different venues for the ACC tournament, but playing there in that environment in the ACC country, really cool place to play, great environment, and to be able to win there was really, really special.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the later years, I think they've moved it to Washington, D.C. and Brooklyn. I think I've seen it going back to Greensboro, but it seemed like you guys had a little bit better advantage the last couple of years. But moving on to the actual Ncaa tournament, when you guys played Northeastern the first round. It might actually, I think it was the very first game of the whole tournament, so I was really nervous watching that. Maybe like a noon start time or something like that. So a lot of people were at work. I was in school, so I was luckily able to watch it. But talk me through that game. I think that was the highlights of that game. Demetrius had like a round the back dribble where he hit some maybe August, or I forget who it was, with the wide open layup, and that game even epitomizes surviving advance. I think Northeastern had the ball and they could have won it on the last possession, but we ended up getting a big steal.
Yeah, that was one of those games where people love the NCAA tournament, and the tournament's so unpredictable because any team, Coach would always talk about, every team that makes it into the field, has had a great season, and they probably won their conference, right? And but yeah, we were playing. I think you're right. It's a noon game, and Northeastern, really played well. But at the end of the day, we were able to escape, and that's what the tournament's all about. And we were able to make enough plays to get out of there. And, good environment, but definitely playing that first game. I think everybody's got some jitters. Playing, and it was my first NCAA tournament game, but big win just to get through that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a big win for Coach Bray, getting over the hump of that first round game. And then just 2 days later, I'm here in Indianapolis, so there's a lot of people around here like Butler basketball and follow Butler basketball, even people in my family. Yeah. So the Notre Dame versus Butler in the round of 32, there was a lot of news coverage around here. The Indianapolis, a big game. That was a great game itself too. Ended up going to overtime. If you want to have any thoughts on that game.
Yeah, I think the Butler game was another one of the highlights of the year. I think just because like you said, being from the same state, they've had so much success over the past couple of years. What a great program. And unlike the first game, where I think we were the first game of the tournament, and this was a late start, so we had a really great crowd in Pittsburgh, and we led a lot. It was kind of an up and down game when we were down, and like you said, I went to overtime, and we were able to pull it out too. But I think that was, we made so many big plays down the stretch there, which was what we had done all season long. It was really fun to get out of there with the win, and just getting over that hump, like you said, that first weekend. Coach Bray always talked about when the brackets come out, you just want to win your first little mini tournament, win those first 2 games, and we got by Northeastern, and we squeaked by Butler, who was a great team. So we were moving on, and we were really happy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when Kellen Dunham took that shot in the corner and Pat swatted him away and sent it to overtime, I was like, okay, that was the exclamation point. They're going to get this thing figured out and pull away in overtime. You guys did. And like you said, survive and advance were the theme of the first 2 games. And kind of like you see sometimes in the tournament where you just survive and advance the first few games. And you guys, this next game, I'd like to discuss Wichita State. You guys really turned it on. You guys were clicking on all cylinders for the Wichita State game.
Yeah, just getting past those first 2 games, you get into the Sweet 16, it's going to be a tough matchup, and playing Wichita State, who I think they were in the Final Four a couple years prior to that, and a really good team. So we came in knowing it was going to be a battle, but I think that was one of the better games that we played. It was a close game for a little while, and then kind of like the ACC championship game, we went on a little run in the second half. People were hitting threes. I remember the play that sticks out was, I think it was an alley-oop to Zach August that Demetrius threw kind of from half court. That kind of got the place going. And, really, really fun game. I know my family was there, which was cool, so I remember seeing them afterwards. And to move on, I think a lot of people were, picking Wichita State to win that game, especially since, they had been to the Final Four previously. But, great game, and, big win.
Yeah, like you were saying, Wichita. Some people probably picked Wichita State to win that game, and it kind of made me mad throughout the year. I think you guys were the three seed, but it just really made me mad. You guys already beat Duke twice. You won the ACC tournament. You had You had a 32-4 record, or it was like 30-4 record, or something along those lines going into the tournament, and you guys were a number 3 seed. Were you guys motivated by that at all? It seems like Notre Dame always kind of gets the hose when it comes to like seeding in the tournament.
Yeah, I think it's a really kind of just a tough. It's obviously tough to rank all these teams, and I think for us at that point, Selection Sunday, we were so confident after the ACC championship, and we felt we could play with anybody, and we try not to worry too much about the seeding and stuff. I think our resume matched up, pretty much with anybody in the country. So, we were ready to go and play whoever it was. At the end of the day, I think we got a pretty, we got our chances, and we played and showed why we were one of the better teams out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we talked earlier, having the underdog mindset, but I still think that you guys were completely screwed. I mean, all the games we've already talked about, and that impressive record, winning the ACC championship, beating Duke twice, beating North Carolina, I think was like maybe twice, and still getting the 3 seed. But it worked out. I think Kansas ended up got upset by Wichita State, who we just discussed. And then moving on to this Elite Eight game, I'll give you a little bit of background where I'm coming from for this Notre Dame-Kentucky game. I went to school at Transylvania University, where I played college baseball. It was a Division III school. I played there for 2 years, and it was in Lexington, Kentucky, a mile away from Rupp Arena.
Okay.
So you can imagine everybody on my team, absolute diehard Kentucky fans, and they were absolutely, be completely honest, were completely dicks about it too. Man, they absolutely hated anybody associated with Indiana. So we were coming back from a road trip in the spring, and it was like the first half of the game, so I was watching on my phone, and this big bus full of all Kentucky fans, and I'm the only Notre Dame fan in it, so one of those big buses. But the fact that I know you guys didn't end up winning, but the fact how much you guys competed, I'm like, you guys are going to have to hit 23-pointers to win this game. But you were dunking and getting layups and stuff. The game was just really impressive. So take me back to that Elite Eight game against Kentucky.
Yeah, that's it's funny to hear you talk about that, especially I'm sure you were when we were winning in the first half, you were letting all your teammates
Absolutely
hear it. But yeah, what an awesome game. I think the one cool thing about the Ncaa Tournament games, they play them in these NBA arenas, so we're in sold out crowd, and the best thing about that game, I remember Coach Bray talking about was, I think Kentucky was undefeated. So, you go into that game and nobody expects us to win or probably even to compete. But if we were making big plays all game, I think, myself and my teammates still think, we had opportunities to win. But, we played really well. I think about Pat had a great a dunk in, a drive down the lane that sticks out in my mind. And, Jaron hitting like a 30-foot three to tie the game back up. But yeah, I mean, they were an awesome team. You look at some of the guys who played on that roster and where they are now. Really impressive. But you hate to lose, and especially in that fashion. Looking back, it was a hell of a game, and we wish we could have beat them and moved on. But I think, like you said, we played pretty well. Took some big shots, like you said, not being afraid of the moment. And looking back, it was definitely one of the games I'll remember, even though we came out on the losing end.
Yeah, even though it's a loss, I still want to talk about it. I mean, on behalf of Notre Dame Nation, we were so proud of you guys for how you played well in that game and come down to the last shot of the game. I was just so impressed. Early when the selection show came out, some people were saying, "Oh, Notre Dame might play Kentucky." And like I said, I lived in Lexington, Kentucky for 2 years, and everybody's like, "Oh, Notre Dame, they'd have to hit 500 threes to beat us." I'm like, "No way, they would compete." In just that whole first half and the whole game in general, I was even thinking about grabbing one of my Notre Dame jerseys. It might have been the death of me, but if you guys would have won that game, I was going to go find a Kentucky statue and put a Notre Dame jersey up on it. So. That might have been pretty stupid. I was trying to fill up the tank too. I was going to go around driving around yelling at some Kentucky fans, but it didn't end up that way. But just like I said, that was probably one of the best games in Notre Dame history, even though you guys came out with the loss. But that was just so impressive how Kentucky was borderline unbeatable until they lost that next game. I mean, undefeated, one of the best teams in college basketball history. They have so much height, one of the best defensive teams ever, and just how you guys played that game, went toe to toe with them, was just awesome to watch.
Definitely, yeah, I appreciate that. We had, just as much fun playing. So
I was, it was the middle of my college baseball season too, but I was going to find a way to get out of it too and go to Indianapolis if you guys would have made it. But the last question I have for that season was, how does it feel that you guys still beat Duke twice, the national champions that year? I mean, you guys had to know that you were just as good, if not better, than any team out there for Notre Dame basketball program. That kind of put you guys back on the map.
yeah, definitely. That I think that's a little was bittersweet. You beat the eventual national champion a couple times, but that's kind of the way college hoops is, and they were a great team. I mean, they beat us that year too, but I think the whole season, like we talked about, we had that confidence that we could play with anybody. We thought we could beat anybody in the country, and we had a heck of a year, but that's what it's all about in the Ncaa Tournament, getting hot, and they did. Really good team, and I think they beat Wisconsin in the final.
Yeah.
I remember watching. We you think back, oh man, we beat these guys twice, and but yeah, you got to give them credit and tip your cap to them.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the best years of college basketball in recent history. I mean, you had you guys, Wisconsin, Duke, and Kentucky, all those great programs. That was a great year. And then kind of transitioning to the next season, you guys came to show that the previous year wasn't a fluke. Notre Dame basketball was back on the map. The first big game that I recall from the 2015-16 season was when you guys win. I think it was your first ever win at Cameron Indoor. Can you talk about that game?
Yeah, we the previous year. I think we lost by about 30 and had one of our toughest games in Cameron. So the guys who were on that team from the year before, I remember going back in. We wanted to have a better showing. Going into Cameron Indoor, but you hear about playing there. It's such a cool place to play. So much history, and the place is rocking. I remember before the game, you can barely hear yourself think. The fans are right on top of you, just like you see on TV. And we came in and we played great. I think it was a shootout. The game ended up in the 90s, and Demetrius played really well. I think he had like 20 points or so. But
didn't you play really well too? Didn't you have a bunch of points yourself? Didn't you have a bunch of points yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. We I think me and Demetrius had 20, and then Bonzi. Really, Bonzi's coming out party, I think, for the whole country has, I think, 30 and like 15 boards. But, anytime you can win in Cameron, I think not many people can even say they win at Cameron. So that was just a really fun game. Anytime we play against Duke, especially at their place, you kind of get up for that. And, great win, I think, for, especially after the previous season where we had such a good year. This new team kind of had to find their own identity, and winning a game like that really kind of got us going.
Yeah, like you said, I didn't touch on it earlier, but yeah, you guys lost by like 31 or something like that at Duke the year before, which I just kind of said, that was just an outlier. I mean, you ended up beating them 2 out of 3 times anyway that year. That was just kind of an outlier. Everything kind of went Duke's way that game, but I didn't want to harp on it too much. But yeah, leading into the 2015-16 season, I'm like, I remember what happened the year before, but you guys came out. You had a great game and ended up winning. I think it was 95-91, but that was just an impressive win to go on the road at Duke, and that just showed that Notre Dame basketball was here to stay. It wasn't just that one Elite Eight run. And then the next kind of
definitely
absolutely. The next couple questions I want to speak about is the Ncaa Tournament that year. I was kind of had high hopes again for you guys. I'm like, you guys make it back to the Sweet 16, that'll be a good year. But that first round matchup, Notre Dame Michigan, normally a traditional football rivalry, but obviously a big game in the basketball. Your first tournament game, you guys got down early, but ended up finding a way to come back.
Yeah, that was we struggled in the beginning against Michigan. We got to play. Thinking back about that game, we got to play in Brooklyn, and I know for me that was great. I got to have a bunch of friends and family there. Living about an hour and a half away from there, so that was really great for me. But going to the game, we got off to a tough start, and kind of like the previous year, we kind of had to find a way to squeak out of there with the win. And you look at what Michigan's done. The basketball program they've had, especially in the last couple of years. Awesome program, great coach. I think we got off to a slow start, and then the first couple of minutes of the second half, we kind of got called back into the game and, found our rhythm a little bit. And, what sticks out to me there was that whole Ncaa Tournament. BJ Beecham was awesome. He was hit threes, driving the ball, and he probably really carried us in March there.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a big game coming back there. Yeah, Beecham I remember him hitting a lot of threes that game as well. Then the next game, which might have been even closer too, the Stephen F. Austin game. Rex Pfluger hits that tip in with just seconds left, and probably over the course of those 2 years, probably the closest game you guys had.
Yeah, Rex with the tip in with a couple seconds left. I remember looking after we beat Michigan. A lot of people we were looking at a matchup with, I think, West Virginia, but Stephen F. Austin, upset them, and we knew they played super helter-skelter press, type of basketball, and they gave us a lot of problems throughout the whole game. I think we turned the ball over a bunch. It wasn't the prettiest game, but Rex tipped that one in, and we were lucky to get out of there. But that was kind of the theme of that weekend. We, like I said before, just find a way to move on. And we would always joke about the Barclays Center in Brooklyn was super good to us, and winning close games, and it was a lot of fun. Great venue to be in.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing some of those behind-the-scenes videos where Mike Brace has a little the Barclays magic, I think he likes to call it.
Yeah, that's what it was, the Barclays magic. And, me and Matty Farrell, and we had a lot of East Coast guys who, were from around that area, so we always liked playing back in New York.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess that kind of sparked something in the back of my head. Remember they had that big bearded guy for Stephen F. Austin, had that big lumberjack beard. It was probably the headline, the Bearded Wonder against the Babyface Assassin. We haven't talked about your nickname yet.
Yeah, well, it's funny. We the Thomas Walkup from Stephen F. Austin, who you're talking about. I played against him last year in Germany, and he's doing really well over here. A great player, and he had a really good career for them. But he has a nickname. I think Jack Nolan started calling me that when I first got to campus and started playing, and Coach Bray, and they kind of just stuck. And it's funny to hear people say that during the games. And, I definitely probably look like I could still be in high school or college at this point. So it was a funny name. I had no problem with it. I always enjoyed a good laugh about it.
So still don't have the beard growing out for No Shave November yet? Still waiting on the beard to come in?
Yeah, I've been waiting for 20-something years. So, we'll see when that happens.
I had to touch on that. Yeah, I believe Jack Nolan, I'd always hear on the radio him calling it the Babyface Assassin, and rightfully so, because you hit a bunch of key shots for those your time at Notre Dame. Then the next game, you guys were scheduled kind of on a collision course with Xavier, but Wisconsin ends up beating Xavier on the last second three-pointer. So you play Wisconsin, who had been on a great tournament run. They'd been to back-to-back Final Fours, and they had a 10-game. They had a huge. They had 10 wins within the last couple of tournament years or whatever, so they were really hot too. And that game come down to the wire. If you want to talk a little bit about that Wisconsin game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Wisconsin was. I think Bronson. I think Kenny hit a game winner against Xavier, and they were coming in playing really well also. And for me playing, I'm kind of just staying in the Northeast. We played at the Wells Fargo Center in Philly, which is about 20 minutes from my house. So once again, that meant a lot to me to play so close to home with a bunch of friends and family at that game. And I think that game was probably one of the tougher games we had all season. Super close all the way through. I know Matt Farrell really stepped up that game coming into um, coming into more of a big role, starting and playing really well. But yeah, and then just those two plays at the end by Demetrius, just carrying us to the next round were really special, and kind of proves why he was our leader throughout the year, and a guy who was gonna will us to a win if we needed.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that game. It was like a tie game, or really close, and a player for Wisconsin hits a three with hardly any time left. Demetrius goes down there, maybe gets a layup, and then gets that steal and comes back. But I never give up on watching the game or anything. But when Wisconsin hit that three, I'm like, whew, man, this is a really tough situation. You guys end up finding a way to win, like you guys had the last previous couple of years. But just those tournament runs in general were just awesome to watch. You guys were never out of a game.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think it didn't look great for us there. But, a little bit of that March magic, and we got a couple bounces to go our way, and there's guys stepping up, making big plays, and another awesome win. Looking back and moving us on again.
Yeah, absolutely. Then transitioning into the Elite Eight game against North Carolina again. Once again, I just want to say how proud I am of you guys watching those games, competing. North Carolina had a really great team that year, and I think the game was right down to the wire up until like the last 8 minutes, where North Carolina pulls away. I know that you guys looked like you guys were trying to almost stall a little bit, try to wait till the last few seconds of the shot clock to shoot, and hit a lot of 3-pointers. And you're right in that game till like the final 7 or 8 minutes, but just going toe to toe with North Carolina, with the trip to the Final Four on the line, I just couldn't be prouder as a Notre Dame basketball fan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, North Carolina was really talented that year, and we had beaten them at home. I think in January or February that season. So we definitely had confidence going in, and thought we could win the game. And what we did with Coach Bray and his strategy, I thought worked really well in the first half, and even deep into the second half. But I don't think we were able to score enough to kind of keep up with them and trade baskets. So up until about 6 or 7 minutes left, they started to pull away. But like I said, we kind of were disappointed about the loss, obviously. But they went on to the national championship, and we just didn't make enough of those plays or enough of those shots, or even enough of those stops to kind of get the win there.
Looking back, or maybe even coming your freshman year in Notre Dame, could you ever imagine that going to back-to-back Elite Eights and being part of an ACC championship team? Could you imagine that? What are your thoughts looking back on it?
Yeah, I mean, looking back, I think when I first started, I definitely didn't have, I really don't think I had those kind of expectations, especially just as a freshman. You want to kind of go in there and just try to make an impact and win some games. But yeah, looking back now, especially being a couple years out, and seeing what we were able to accomplish, and the ACC tournament, the championship, that's something I'll never forget. Making those deep runs in the NCAA tournament is not many teams, even great teams, get to do that. Do that back-to-back years. Was really, really incredible and pretty special. But I think what it did, I think it really showed what a great coach, Coach Bray is, what an awesome culture and program that he's developed. When I talk to my teammates who I played with, or I talk to, or you look around and see, I got a couple guys playing in the NBA. Bonzi and Maddie just played this past year and were two of the best players in the country. And so I was fortunate to play with so many good players throughout my 4 years, and become really good friends with them and stay in touch with them. And I know even last year for me, and this upcoming year, it gets me excited to watch the team play and see who they got coming in. And I know that Coach Bray is going to continue to build the program, and hopefully get over that hump soon and get to a Final Four.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely glad that he's Notre Dame's basketball coach. I know no matter who Notre Dame plays, they will definitely not get out coach. He's a great fit for Notre Dame, and I hope he's around for a long time to come. I know he's got a big contract. It should be there for a while. What do you think, looking back on that, you paved the way for Notre Dame basketball? Because I know if you've probably been paying attention that like last year, Notre Dame had like 4 top 100 recruits and got a 4-star transfer from UConn. And it seems like you guys really paved the way to start getting some big name recruits in there and have Notre Dame basketball be one of the elite programs in the ACC and all of college basketball.
Yeah, I'm super excited to to watch this year and just staying in contact with the coaches. I have a great relationship with the assistants and talking to Coach Ayers about the team this upcoming year. Sounds like these freshmen are super talented, and I think the way they can mesh with TJ and Rex, I think they should be really good this year. But I think recruits and kids in high school obviously watch a ton of college basketball, and I think just to the casual fan, you watch Notre Dame basketball, it seems like a fun way to play, and guys want to go to a place where, they can play their role offensively and they can play freely. And, once you meet Coach Bray, and guys want to play for a guy like him. And I think for us and, my teammates and some of our teams, winning those big games and going deep in the tournament, proves to, maybe recruits or something, that, this is a place they want to be because, guys want to play at the highest level. And, in my opinion, Notre Dame is obviously ACC is the highest level. And Notre Dame and Coach Bray they got this thing right up there with, any team in the country. So, it's going to be super fun to watch and to see them continue to get better and watch these young guys come in and hopefully carry the program to where it belongs.
Yeah, absolutely. Both just Notre Dame basketball in general, whether it's Muffet McGraw or Mike Bray, is just extremely well coached, extremely great place to play for competition. Like you said, ACC competition. Did you see the new basketball facility? What are your thoughts on the new basketball facility?
I've only seen pictures so far, but I know this is something that they've been working on and at least talking about for a while. And it's going to be such a great thing for the program and both the women's and our teams because we didn't have that when I was there, and just to have these facilities and practice court and a weight room is such a especially in today's college basketball. I'm sure every big time program has it, but I think Coach Bray and the programs really deserve it. Just, and it's going to be a great asset, not just for the teams, but for recruiting. And, I'm really hoping this summer can get back to South Bend and, check it out. And I think that's one thing it'll really bring, guys, former players who are still playing will want to come and, they'll have these, awesome facilities to work out in and, come back and, play pickup with the guys. So I'm really looking forward to, going back and checking it out because I've heard great things and it looks awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen some scrimmages, former players. I know it's like early when Notre Dame football is playing. Some of you guys come back for just a scrimmage to play against some guys in the NBA or where you're at over in Europe, as well as the current players too. You guys will just come watch a football game. I'll see you guys practicing against each other in the Joy Center, which is pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, definitely. And, that's something that makes, the program and Notre Dame and all the special place guys want to come back. The teammates are your friends, and it really is. It's a great culture, and I know I'm looking forward to getting back there as soon as I can.
Absolutely. Last question before I let you go here. We talked a lot about, kind of skipped over a few things. We only got a few minutes here for the live on Instagram. Lets me go. But the last question I got for you. What is your favorite memory of all the games and stuff we talked about? Your favorite memory about playing basketball at Notre Dame?
Favorite memories. I think my favorite game memory would be the winning the ACC tournament. We talked about that. But just looking back, that's something that, the way we did it and the actual game was such an awesome game and a tough road that we had to take to win that game. And, that's something we'll always have, have that banner, those rings. Definitely my favorite, memory of a game playing at Notre Dame. But I would say that, just in general, I think all 4 years had so many great memories playing there. And, from the practices to the games, to the events with the guys, But that's the ACC championship. It's something I'm sure I'll never forget.
Yeah, absolutely. And as fans too, I know that's those last couple years when you guys were there, those stretches of going back to back Elite Eights and the ACC championship run. It was always so fun to watch you guys have something to watch in the spring, and as well as like Notre Dame football, and then have something else to watch too as Notre Dame basketball. You guys really put Notre Dame basketball on the map, and hopefully Mike Bray's going to continue to keep this train rolling, like you said, new facilities, recruits that you guys helped lay the foundation for. I'm really excited to watch and see what's in store for Notre Dame basketball.
Me too. I know we're all looking forward to it, and I think they're going to have a big year, probably surprising people, but I know I'll be watching as well.
Awesome. If you could just stay on the phone for a second, I'm going to wrap up the show here on Instagram Live. Thanks, guys, for watching. We'll be previewing the Notre Dame Navy game next week. That is Steve Vasturia, one of my favorite Notre Dame basketball players of all time. I'll be posting this later. You guys can go back through and watch all the highlights and stuff we talked about. Thanks again for watching. Go Irish.